Nneka clenched her fists. She could not allow this. If Obinna discovered the truth, everything she had fought for would crumble. That night, she made a decision. She would get rid of the golden fish once and for all. Under the cover of darkness, Nneka crept toward the courtyard, her heart pounding like a drum. The guards were stationed elsewhere, their watchful eyes far from where she needed to be. The bow gleamed under the moonlight, its waters unnaturally still. The golden fish floated inside, its luminous eyes staring up at her. She hesitated. Do it. A voice hissed in her mind. End this nightmare before it's too late. With trembling hands, she lifted the heavy bow. The fish did not struggle. It simply watched her, as if it had been expecting this. You don't belong here, she whispered. You should have stayed in the river. Nneka moved swiftly, carrying the bow to the palace walls. Beyond them, the river whispered in the distance, its dark waters shimmering under the moon. She reached the edge and tipped the bowl over. The golden fish tumbled into the air. But before it could reach the water, a powerful gust of wind roared through the night. The fish vanished. Nneka stumbled backward, her breath caught in her throat. She scanned the river below, but there was nothing, no splash, no ripples. Just silence. Then, from the depths of the water, a voice rose. You cannot escape me, Nneka. A scream tore from her lips as an unseen force pushed her backward. She tumbled to the ground, gasping, eyes wide with terror. She scrambled to her feet and ran, not stopping until she was safe behind the heavy doors of her chambers. For the rest of the night, she did not sleep. She sat in the corner of her room, shivering, her mind replaying what had happened. The fish was gone, but the voice remained. Adeobi was not done with her. And the river was waiting. Morning came, but Nneka had barely closed her eyes. Her body ached from exhaustion, yet fear kept her awake. She sat by the window, watching as the sun bathed the village in golden light. Everything appeared normal, the villagers went about their daily activities, the palace guards stood at their posts, and the market square buzzed with life. But Nneka knew the truth. Something was coming for her. A sudden knock at the door made her flinch. She hesitated before opening it, her heart hammering against her chest. It was King Obinna. Nneka, he said, his voice heavy with an emotion she could not place. Something is happening at the river. Her stomach twisted. What do you mean? The water, it is rising, swelling beyond its banks. The villagers are afraid. Nneka forced a laugh, though it came out shaky. Surely it is just the rain from the mountains. Obinna shook his head. No. The elders say the river is angry. He fixed her with an intense gaze. They say the spirit of Adeobi is restless. The air left Nneka's lungs. The priestess of the river has called for a gathering, he continued. She claims the river demands justice. I need you to come with me. Nneka's knees nearly buckled. Why me? You were Adeobi's best friend, he said, eyes narrowing slightly. If her spirit is speaking, you should be there to hear it. Nneka had no choice. As she followed Obinna to the riverbanks, her mind raced. Had the fish returned? Had someone seen what she had done? By the time they arrived, a large crowd had gathered. The villagers stood at a distance, whispering among themselves, their eyes wide with fear. The river, once calm and inviting, now churned violently, its waters dark and wild. At the edge of the river stood the priestess, a tall, imposing woman dressed in flowing white garments. Her face was painted with sacred symbols, her long staff planted firmly in the mud. The river speaks, the priestess declared, her voice ringing through the air. It cries for justice. The wind howled, carrying the scent of wet earth. The crowd murmured. Obinna stepped forward. What does the river say? The priestess turned her piercing gaze on him. That a great betrayal has taken place. Nneka swallowed hard. The priestess raised her staff high. The spirit of the queen lingers within these waters, trapped by treachery. The one who wronged her must confess before the river takes its vengeance. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Nneka's vision blurred at the edges. The world around her seemed to shrink. The whispers, the dreams, the golden fish, the voice from the river, it had all been leading to this moment. A sharp gust of wind roared through the trees. The villagers clutched their garments as the river surged higher, spilling onto the land. A single voice cut through the chaos. Nneka. Nneka's breath hitched. The voice came from the water. A golden shimmer surfaced amidst the raging waves, and slowly, emerging from the depths, was the last thing she ever wanted to see. It was Adaobi. Not as a fish. Not as a human. But something in between. Her body glowed with an unearthly light, her skin smooth and golden, her eyes filled with sorrow and fury. Water dripped from her shimmering form as she stepped onto the land. Nneka stumbled back, her entire body trembling. This was not possible. It could not be real. Adaobi. Obinna whispered, eyes wide in disbelief. The golden figure turned her gaze on Nneka. You thought you could silence me? Adaobi's voice rang clear, her tone both sad and condemning. You thought the river would keep your secret. Nneka's knees buckled. The ground beneath her felt as if it would give way. The villagers turned to her, their expressions shifting from confusion to realization. Obinna's face darkened. What have you done, Nneka? The river roared louder, as if demanding an answer. Nneka opened her mouth, but no words came. She had lost. And the river had come for its justice. Nneka's breath came in shallow gasps. The villagers, once her people, now stared at her with a mixture of horror and disgust. The whisper spread like wildfire, their voices rising above the howling wind. She betrayed her own friend who loved her like a sister. She sought the throne at the cost of blood. She defied the river. King Obinna's face darkened as he took a step toward her, his hands clenched into fists. Tell me it isn't true, Nneka. His voice was laced with disbelief, but beneath it, there was something else, rage. Nneka shook her head rapidly, desperation clawing at her throat. I didn't. Adaobi, standing on the riverbank, her golden form shimmering in the stormy light, tilted her head. Still, you lie. The river surged forward, its waves licking at Nneka's feet. She scrambled back, her heart hammering wildly. She had never feared water before, but now, it felt alive, as though it had a will of its own. The priestess raised her staff high. The river has spoken. It demands justice. Nneka, do you deny the crime? Nneka's lips trembled. She wanted to deny it. She wanted to run. But the weight of Adaobi's gaze held her in place. You poisoned me, Adaobi continued, stepping closer. You fed me the curse of the old woman from the forest. You turned me into this. She spread her arms, the golden glow around her pulsing with power. You wanted the king. You wanted my place. But you will have neither. Obinna turned away from Nneka in disgust. You have broken my heart and disgraced this kingdom. Tears welled in Nneka's eyes. I only wanted. But no one was listening. The river swelled again, rising higher, crashing against the land. The priestess turned to the villagers. What shall be done with the betrayer? The crowd erupted. Let the river judge her. She must pay for her sins. The river does not forget. Nneka stumbled back, her pulse racing. No, please. Adaobi raised her hand. The river answered. A great wave, higher than any before, rose behind her like a towering beast. Its roar shook the ground. No. Please, Adaobi. I was your sister. Nneka screamed, falling to her knees. Adaobi's expression softened just slightly, pain flickering across her ethereal features. And I loved you, Nneka. But love cannot erase betrayal. The wave surged forward. With a final, ear-splitting scream, Nneka was engulfed. The villagers gasped as the waters swallowed her whole, dragging her into the depths. The river churned violently for a few moments, then suddenly, it stilled. The surface became calm once more, as if nothing had ever happened. The golden glow surrounding Adeobi began to fade. She looked at Obinna one last time, sadness in her eyes. "You were a good husband," she whispered. Adeobi, Obinna reached for her, but before he could touch her, her form dissolved into the river, her spirit returning to the waters where she now belonged. Silence fell over the village. The priestess stepped forward, her voice solemn. "Justice has been served. The river is at peace once more." The villagers bowed their heads. King Obinna turned away, his heart heavy. He had lost his queen. And Nneka. Nneka was no more. The river had taken what was owed. And the river never forgets. The village of Umon fell into an eerie silence in the days following Nneka's judgment. The river, once turbulent with rage, had settled into a peaceful flow, its surface smooth and reflective like a polished mirror. But within its depths, whispers lingered, whispers of betrayal, of justice, of love lost and debts repaid. King Obinna spent his days by the riverbank, staring into the water as if hoping to catch a glimpse of Adeobi once more. He had loved her, and though he had failed to protect her from betrayal, he had at least honored her in the end. Still, his heart remained heavy. The weight of loss clung to him like a second skin. The villagers spoke in hushed tones of the golden fish that had once carried the soul of their queen. Some claimed they had seen it shimmer beneath the surface, while others believed that Adeobi had finally been set free, her spirit at rest. Yet, the river never let the past be forgotten. One evening, as the sun dipped low on the horizon, Obinna heard a voice drifting across the water. It was soft, like the wind playing through the reeds, but unmistakable. Obinna. His breath hitched. He stood, his eyes scanning the rippling waves. The voice was hers. "You must live, my love. Do not let sorrow chain you to the past." Tears welled in his eyes. "Adeobi. Is it truly you?" The river gave no answer. Only the gentle lapping of water against the shore remained. But somehow, Obinna knew. He closed his eyes, letting the warmth of her presence settle over him one last time. And then, just as suddenly as it had come, the voice was gone. The priestess of the village approached him, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Her soul is free, my king," she said softly. "Now, it is time for you to be free as well." Obinna exhaled slowly. He knew she was right. The past had played its course, and though the scars remained, life in Umon would continue. And so, the king rose. That night, as the village prepared for the festival of new beginnings, Obinna walked among his people, not as a grieving husband, but as a ruler ready to lead once more. For though the river had taken much, it had also given something in return: wisdom, renewal, and a lesson that would be passed down for generations to come. The river does not forget. The river does not forgive. But the river always tells the truth. The village of Umon gathered under the vast night sky, the air thick with the scent of burning torches and fresh palm wine. The festival of new beginnings was a time of renewal, of casting away past sorrows and embracing the future. Yet, this year, an unspoken understanding lingered among the people. They had witnessed the power of faith, justice, and the river's will. At the heart of it all, King Obinna stood before his people, his once grieving heart now steady. He had mourned, he had suffered, but he had also learned. He knew now that power was not in the throne but in the hearts of the people he ruled. The priestess stepped forward, raising her hands to the heavens. The river has spoken, the gods have judged, and balance has been restored. We move forward, not in fear, but in wisdom. The villagers cheered, drums thundered, and dancers took to the square, their feet striking the earth in perfect rhythm. Laughter and music filled the night, but Obinna's gaze drifted toward the river. Even now, it shimmered under the moonlight, holding its secrets, its memories. Then, just for a moment, the water stirred unnaturally. A single golden ripple spread across the surface, glowing like sunlight trapped beneath the waves. Obinna's breath caught. Was it her? A final farewell. A soft wind brushed against his cheek, warm and gentle. And in his heart, he understood. Adeobi was at peace. Turning back to his people, King Obinna joined the festivities, not as a man weighed by sorrow, but as a ruler ready to embrace the future. The river had remembered. The river had judged. And now, the river had moved on. So, too, would they. Guys, do subscribe, like and engage. We've got more interesting stories coming up.